Hey guys, it's Scott here and welcome to a new video. We're going to be having a brief post-match analysis of Southampton managing to hold Manchester United to a 1-1 draw today. So if you do enjoy this style of video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below. It is massively helping the channel and we're also on the road to 1,000 subs. So if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and share the videos if you enjoy them. You can also go and follow me on Twitch if you want to see my FIFA live streams. But now, let's get into it. So Southampton come into this game after a 3-1 loss at the hands of Everton on the opening day of the season, and it wasn't looking that great for them. A lot of people have got and still will have Southampton down as relegation fodder this season after losing people like Vestergaard, Bertrand on a free. Losing Danny Ings to Aston Villa was a massive loss for them, and so a lot of people are thinking that Arsene Huttel's team are not going to have what it takes in order to stay up. And that first opening result was not what Saints fans would have been needing to sort of instill that confidence in themselves and the team. Whereas Manchester United were the exact opposite. They managed to batter Leeds 5-1 on the opening day and really sort of assert themselves as, we aren't here to mess around. We mean business this season. Okay, yeah, they conceded, but they scored 5. Pogba getting 4 assists, only the 7th player to do so in the Prem. Bruno getting an opening day hat-trick, the first Man United player to ever do that on the first game of the season. And so, yeah, laying down their marker, going, hey, we're big boys this season. We are going to absolutely smash it. So, very contrasting entrances to the season for both of these teams, and they clashed today in the first game in the Sunday kickoffs. And if you didn't manage to watch this game, you missed out on a really good match. This was thoroughly entertaining. Southampton, again, a lot of people thought that in this game they'd get absolutely battered, maybe like 3 or 4-0 because, again, of their defensive issues, etc. And Manchester United having such a strong first game. However, that was not the case at all. Man United looked like they just weren't really getting out of second gear in this game. You had people like Bruno putting in average performances, not really creating that much. Martial started up front today, and I'll show you the team news right now for Manchester United. He was their striker with Greenwood out on the wing, and it did not work. Martial looked so poor. He couldn't get involved in the game. He couldn't really get anything going whatsoever. And it was basically a waste of space on the pitch today. It would have made a lot more sense to have Greenwood playing through the middle even and Martial on the wing rather than the other way round. So that did not go well. And the other glaring omissions from the squad are Sancho and Varane. They did not start the game. Sancho did manage to come on at roughly the 60th minute. Varane not making an appearance as of yet. But it seems like with someone like him, if he's not starting, he's most likely not going to come on unless they're holding onto a 1-0 lead with 5 minutes to go. So not too surprising there, but Sancho getting a lot more minutes today, not really managing to do anything with those minutes, but still getting a bit more match experience in the Premier League is exactly what he needs. So Martial was probably the biggest flaw in this, alongside the fact that Man United still need that one final piece of the puzzle to really make them title challengers this year, and that is their number sort of 6 position, that defensive midfielder. They've obviously been linked with people like Declan Rice before, and you can see why. Today you had Matic, you had Fred. Just average. Fred was so poor. Matic is basically an old man at this stage. It isn't good enough. For what Man United are supposed to be and want to be this season, that is not good enough. And even if you have a fit McTominay, he isn't at the level required. So if United go out and get that defensive mid, suddenly it will completely transform their team. For example, if they had someone like an Ndidi, a Rice, someone of that level, Fabinho in that position, they'd win the ball easier in midfield. They'd be able to start attacks higher up the pitch rather than from defence, and it would sort of alleviate the amount of chances that they end up conceding through the lack of the midfield dominance. So if they manage to sign that, then this season will go completely differently for United. But if they don't, I can't see them challenging for the title with this starting 11, even with Sancho and Varane added in. And yes, Varane will make the defence more solid, but you still need that sitter in front, even if it's just one, to really help you out. So I think that was Man United's biggest problem today. Martial up front, even though he got subbed off in the second half for Sancho and you saw Greenwood move into the middle, he actually managed to get a goal. That was a big flaw, and the midfield as well. But it's not all about Man U. Let's talk about Southampton. They looked great today. They really took the game to United and made them pay for their mistakes, really. The goal was a little bit of fortune combined with great play. So Man United fans might be annoyed that a foul wasn't given on Bruno in the build-up. I personally don't think it was a foul at all. Strong challenge came in, I'm not sure who by, but to win the ball back from Fernandes. And then a little bit of interplay, a couple of passes here and there. The ball eventually, from a flick from Armstrong, finds its way to Che Adams, does a fake shot inside, goes for goal. Massive deflection off of Fred. Completely wrong sides De Gea. It's going probably wide the other side of the goal, like comfortably wide. Maybe even closer to the corner flag than the goal, depending on the spin. But it was not a good shot. Cannoned off of Fred into the other side of the goal. De Gea could not get to it, unfortunately for him. And it did put Southampton 1-0 up. And at that point, it felt deserved. Like, yes, United were going forward, but other than a bit of a scramble in the box that they had early on in the game, they weren't creating proper chances. Whereas Southampton, the tenacity and the pressing, the challenge in the build-up on Bruno to win the ball back for the goal summed up the Saints in this game. They were at United as much as they possibly could be. Yes, if we look at the final stats, you'll see that United had like 60+% possession. But that isn't the full story of the game. That's why stats don't mean everything, because Southampton just went at it. And the amount of times that they won the ball off of the midfield and the defence off of Man U was astounding today. And that is how they managed to get some of the chances that they did. I'll put the team sheet up for Southampton. Probably will have had it up actually the whole time that we're talking about them. But they played really, really well today. Their midfield was decent. Ward-Prowse pulling the strings as he does. But Armstrong and Adams up front together worked pretty well. Adam Armstrong looks like a great buy. I thought that he was one of those players that was going to get snapped up by a Premiership team from Blackburn just because of his numbers alone. And Southampton seems like it's a really good fit for him. He's fitting in to their play style. Really, really good chemistry with the team around him, it looks like. Nice interplay between himself, Ward-Prowse, etc. And he was the guy that was making things happen. He did actually have a really, really good chance in the second half that in reality, he should have buried. He ended up one-on-one with De Gea from just inside the box, and he put it just to the side of him, near enough straight at him, puts it in either corner, or even chips it. It's a goal. But I'm not going to take that away from Southampton and say that that means that they weren't good, because they were. And whilst the scoreline says 1-1, I think Southampton edged it in terms of actual performance, even if they didn't edge it in terms of the shots in total or possession or stuff like that. I feel like they seem like the more confident team today, and that United midfield was just, it was so poor. So what we'll do is we'll get the stats on the screen and we'll talk you through them. So obviously, this game ended 1-1. I've talked you through the first goal that Southampton managed to score, but the second goal was a Mason Greenwood strike. Really, really nice play between Pogba and Bruno, who didn't really have control of the game as much as they did against Leeds, where they were running everything. Hence, the 7 goal involvements between the two of them was crazy. So today, they didn't really have that. Pogba's passing range not quite on point, and Bruno not being able to pick up the ball in the positions that he normally would like to. And that is credit to Southampton for sort of flushing out those opportunities for those players to have the freedom that they would like to have. So well done to Southampton. Again, credit to Hasenhüttl for his team setup today. Also a little bit of credit to Ollie, because he did change things around, especially with the Martial sub, but it was a little bit, it was a bit too late. Like, he should have noticed that way earlier that that was not working. So we look at the stats, and United obviously have more stats and better stats in some of the areas. But as I said before, if you watched this game, I really would be surprised if you said that the stats reflected who you think were like clearly the better team or anything like that. If you see 15 shots compared to 8, you may think, oh wow, they were dominating them. But not really. So Again, massive credit to Southampton. And the Manchester United goal, as I said before, Pogba with a couple of step-overs on the edge of the box, plays it into Bruno, who finds himself in the Southampton box, lays it back to Pogba, who stretches, just gets a toe to it, to lay it off to Mason Greenwood, who scuffs it on his left foot. Probably the least clean strike I've ever seen Greenwood have of a football. He is normally so clinical and so good with his finishing. This one, scuffed it on his left, managed to nutmeg Salisu, and then also nutmeg a bizarre McCarthy dive save thing. I don't really know exactly what he was going for. Maybe he couldn't clearly see the ball, but I think if you watch the highlights and the replays of this goal, you would have thought that the keeper could have done better there. But it sort of evened out the look. Obviously, Southampton's goal was a massive deflection, and so this being a sort of lucky goal as well, balanced things out and put everything back to level pegging. Both had chances later on in the game. Again, the Armstrong chance was by far the biggest opportunity of the game after the second goal of Greenwood, and that should have been it. That should have been the game potentially put to bed. 2-1 with, I think, about 15 minutes left at that stage. Probably would have done it for Southampton, but it turns out that that did not go in. There were multiple chances at either end, and it ended 1-1. It was a pretty crazy game. Really, really exciting. Next up, we have got Arsenal versus Chelsea. I will be doing a video on that one. Here's hoping that that's going to be really exciting. But did you watch this game today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you excited for this Arsenal-Chelsea London derby that's coming up? If so, and you want to see more videos on stuff like that, thumb this one up, subscribe, and I'll see you later for a second video. Goodbye.